Welcome to Rachel Wolf Movement. Today we're going to go over all the muscles that help to stabilize your spine and are really important key muscles for strengthening your core and creating stability, but will be especially helpful if you have any lower back pain. So today you'll need a ball and a band. Now, if you don't have these two props, you can still do this workout. We're just doing one exercise that will help you if you have them, but if you don't, you can still do it. And then you'll need a bench, or I have an ottoman or some type of chair. So we'll get started with a warm-up. You can come onto your hands and knees, stack your shoulders over your wrists, your knees underneath your hips. Inhale as you open the chest, exhale, rounding the spine. So we're just starting with cat and cow so we can create mobility. And I love to do a little bit of mobility before stability, just to warm things up. Inhale to open, exhale, round. And we'll finish 3 more. And last one. And then come back to center. Take your right hand behind your head. Draw your right elbow towards your left wrist. And you'll exhale. Inhale to open. Try not to move your hips and just let your rib cage move. In order to not move your hips, you're just going to think about your frontal hip bones pulling together just slightly. And you'll feel your lower abs start to engage. And then one more. And return that hand down to the floor. Take the left hand behind the head. Exhale. We draw it towards the wrist. Inhale to open. Thinking about the lower abs engaged by drawing the hip bones together, or you can think about this as pulling the belly button up towards your rib cage. You'll create the same action by thinking about either one of those. 2 more. And 1 more. And come back to center. So we're on all fours, hands and knees, bringing the knees right underneath the hips, shoulders stack over the wrist. You're going to hover the right knee off of the mat, thinking about bracing your lower abs. So we're going to work our multifidi as we extend the right leg back and extend the left arm forward, and then slowly bring it down. So the multifidi are the muscles that stabilize your spine to keep it from twisting. So we're keeping our spine as still as possible, and this is how we get to work those muscles. We need that core bracing to be able to focus on the multifidi muscles doing their job. So thinking about those lower abs again, whether that's thinking about drawing the hip bones together or that slight draw up of the belly button towards the ribs. Continue breathing, deep inhale. And exhale, return, working to keep the spine as still as possible. So if you notice you're lifting your leg up here and that drops your belly, you start to arch, then don't lift your leg so high. Same with the arm. If you feel like your arm coming up makes you pull your rib cage up, then keep it lower. So maybe yours will look something like this, or maybe you just choose to do your legs and focus on that and then add the arms later. You just want to make sure that you're keeping your spine as still as possible. So we're going to finish 2 more on each side. Inhale and exhale, bracing the core. And last one. And you can come all the way in. Okay, so now you're going to make your way onto your back. And for this one, we're going to focus on our pelvic floor muscles. Also our transversus abdominis, that deep layer of the core, and the glutes. So all you're going to do is draw your tailbone towards your belly button and come back to a neutral pelvis. So it's a slight tuck and release. Drawing the tailbone towards the belly button and release. So as you slightly tuck the tail, you'll notice your lower back drops towards the floor. This allows us to activate lower abs, slight pelvic floor muscles, a slight feeling in the pelvic floor muscles, and also we're working the glutes. And we're just going to finish 3 more. And 1. Okay, now we're going to focus on our glute max as we work into our bridge with a flat back hinge. So instead of tucking the tail like we just did, we're going to keep neutral pelvis. Exhale, lift the hips up. Inhale, lower. Now, if I lift up so high that my ribs start to pop out, this arches my back and I'm focusing more on my lower back now and not my glutes. So really important to keep the ribs down and keep the pelvis in a neutral place. Now, if I tuck my tail and draw my ribs down, this is getting more into my hamstrings. So depending on what you want to work is how you're going to hold your pelvis. But specifically for this workout, we want to focus on our glutes. So we're working in neutral. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Last 2. And 1. Now you're going to place your heels up on that chair or bench that you had. So I want you to move as close as you need to get your knees tracking right over your hips and reach your arms up to the ceiling. So we're going to focus on dead bugs right now, which works your transversus abdominis, the deep layer of your core. Bring your right leg into tabletop and we'll extend that right leg forward and the left arm back and bring it back in, return that heel. And then the other side. So the bench is good for those who have chronic low back pain. It gives you a better sense of stability. It's really hard to hold your legs in the air and have it not pull on your lower back. Now, if you feel fine in your lower back and you want to make it more challenging, you can take the chair away. If this feels too challenging, then we're just going to lift the leg up, hold it there, and just work the arms. And what I want you to think about are those lower abs engaging. So when we did just a slight tuck of the pelvis, I want you to feel that again. Feel your hip bones drawing together and your belly button drawing up towards the ribs. So all of those things are happening as you move the limbs away. And then you're gonna relax when you come back to the chair. And we'll do the other side. So think about just that slight tuck. You don't have to overdo it. Just a slight tuck, drawing hip bones together, drawing ribs up, and then extend the leg out, or you're just holding it there and moving the arm and release. So can we lift? Exhale, inhale, come in. And lift, exhale, inhale, bring it in. You should feel that brace in your core. Lift, brace, exhale, and bring it in. Inhale. And then we're just going to finish 1 more on each side. And you'll bring the feet down one at a time and make your way onto your side. So now you're going to come onto your forearm. So we're on the elbow, knees are bent. Your hips are stacked in alignment with your elbow. You can keep this hand on the ground if you need to. And you're just going to lift the hips up and lower down. If you want to make it more challenging, you'll send the arm up. Exhale as you lift, inhale to lower. So in this exercise, we're focusing on our internal obliques. Those are the deep muscles in your abdominals that are on the sides. So our internal obliques keep us from rotating. They're stabilizer muscles. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. We're also working a little bit of glute medius here. So the outer hip stabilizers. 3 more. 2 and 1. Okay, we're gonna stay here on our side. Lower yourself down. You can have your hand there. Kick your chair out of the way if you need to. And your legs are extended long with your hips and shoulders. That top leg's going to lift. Turn the toes down to the floor. Reach for the wall on the other side. So where my foot is pointing, I'm reaching for that wall. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. This is focusing on gluteus medius, your outer hips here, the outer glutes. These are really important muscles for stabilizing the pelvis, which is what you need when you have chronic low back pain. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. And last 3, 2, try not to use momentum, really reach with the leg and come down. Now we'll take it onto the other side. So we prop up onto the elbow, knees are stacked, feet are together. You can start with the hand down, exhale, lift, inhale, lower, or if you want to make it harder, you're reaching that arm up. So we're working our internal obliques here that keep the pelvis, that keep the spine from rotating. So they help to keep our spine stable. Exhale, we lift, inhale, lower. 3 more. Also, remember we're getting gluteus medius here. So you might feel that outer hip working as well of the bottom hip. And 1 more and bring it down. Slide all the way down. Legs are extended long. Lift the top leg, turn the toes down. We reach for the wall across the room. Lift and lower. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Keep reaching. Now, if you think about just tucking in, I'm sorry, I didn't mention this on the other side, but tucking a little bit into your pelvis, you're going to work more gluteus medius as you lift and lower. A little tuck. And keep those toes pointing down. Really important because your gluteus medius is also an internal rotator. It's an abductor and an internal rotator. So we're creating all the actions that that muscle does. And with that little tuck, we're biasing the muscle even more. 2 more. And last one. Okay, and then you can come all the way up. We need our chair again, or your bench. And then you can grab your ball and your band, have a seat. So we'll start with the band, and you'll place that around your thighs. So if you don't have the band or ball, that's okay. We can still do this workout without it. And separate your feet about hips width or slightly wider. Then you're going to stack your forearms. As I push into this band, I'm working these outer hip muscles. You might even feel a little lower abs here. If you don't feel lower abs, engage them by pulling those hip bones together and zipping up. Then you're going to rotate from your rib cage. Stay tall in your spine. So notice how I'm not moving from my arms. This is a different movement. I'm moving from my ribs and my arms are just following, keeping a nice tall spine. So this exercise is focusing on your external obliques. These are the muscles that rotate your spine. But what's important here is that these muscles tend to get really tight, and then we compensate and rotate from our lower back. These muscles specifically, we're rotating more from our thoracic spine, our mid-back. So when we can open up these muscles and get more range in our thoracic spine, we're less likely to twist from our lower back, which tends to create a lot of issues for chronic low back pain or people who have chronic low back pain. So one more each side and then come back to center. Now remove this band. We'll grab the ball and we're going to repeat squeezing the ball. So with the ball here, we're focusing on some inner thighs, a little bit of pelvic floor muscles also. So we got to stabilize by pressing out and we're stabilizing by drawing in. So both are important for the whole pelvic complex to create stability. So we're going to continue rotating from the rib cage, sitting up nice and tall. Make sure you're breathing. Exhale, inhale. Don't let your hips move. So really important. You can even gaze down at your knees and make sure they're not shifting like this. Make sure they stay even. So that squeeze of the ball, or like we were doing before, the pushing out of the band, are really helpful for keeping the pelvis still and just rotating at the thoracic spine. One more each side and come back to center. You are all done. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can receive more videos just like this.